Welcome to As Above.
So below,
I am Kisha Lee, the Psychic Yogi.
and I'm Cidnee Rich, and this is Mystic Moon, the full moon in Sagittarius, which is also called the flower moon. And I am particularly excited about this moon. I'm going to start talking about the cosmic chat with a anecdotal story because I feel like it's pretty cool. And I'm sure that these are things that happen in all of our spiritual journeys. And so just to see it play out, I think is helpful. So literally 6 months ago during Sagittarius season, so end of November, beginning of December, I was the most depressed I've ever been in my entire life. And I didn't know what to do, why this was happening, how I was going to get out of this. I was just down bad. And I remember I had a dream, and the main thing that came from the dream was I don't know who was giving birth. I don't feel like it was me. I feel like it was someone else. And there was a newborn baby. And I remember asking, what's this baby's, what's the name? And the answer was Flower. And then I wake up from the dream. I'm retelling the dream. And as I'm talking the dream out, for whatever claircognizance, whatever spirit kind of dropped it in and was like, and it connected to this flower moon. So what I got from that is this newborn little baby, this rebirth, this new beginning would come to me in my life. I'm feeling emotional by the flower moon. And so we're at the flower moon. And when I say I don't even remember how I was feeling then, which is how removed I am from that energy, it amazes me. And that's the cycles of our soul journeys and all that we are in. So I share that to hopefully give some inspiration, knowledge, Sag vibes, right? Of the fact that also with Sagittarius energy, things are flexible, things are mutable, do not stay. They don't stay how they are, whether that's good or bad. But that is something that I think that this full moon is really helpful in setting for us, is that things change, we change, situations change, our values change, our feelings change, our desires change. And as long as we flow with those changes, we are always going to be in alignment, even when it feels really hard and difficult. But I do think that Sag energy has this joy to it that keeps us all in this space of, you know what, we're just doing life. We're doing it. We're here. We're making it happen because that's all we are doing. That's all we can do. No one knows anything. No one knows what we're supposed to be doing. No one knows the correct anything. It's just that we're all here collectively doing. And Sag energy with that fire is all about that, doing what feels good, following that sense of like purpose and knowing that there's something bigger, something more that you have to offer, that you have within yourself to express, to share, to experience, to feel. It's very inspiring energy. When you think about a centaur, like a half man, half horse, like, wow, that's freaking cool. You have this strength of this beast and this knowledge of the human, and you putting that together, that would be freaking badass if I could just come out in that type of energy all day, just conquering my thoughts, conquering my actions with this sense of like self and determination and understanding that we're always seeking, we're all always seeking, and that's super Sag energy, to want to learn more, to want to share what you have learned so that we can all kind of, you know, figure out what we're doing the best that we can in our short time here on this planet. And so, yeah, for this full moon, it definitely feels like a blooming sense. And I think that that has a lot to do with it being the flower moon. It's the last spring full moon. Then we move into summer. So by this full moon, we have bloomed to an extent of like our new kind of cycle that we started with Aries season. We're coming more into that. We're coming more into that energy and understanding how we want to kind of use that, navigate that, and enjoy it. You know, fun, optimism is Sag energy. It's ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is a benefic planet. It brings you good things. It brings you luck. It brings you growth. It brings you just magical moments of like, how did that even happen? Going back to the centaur idea. It's like magic happens in Sagittarius energy because it's alchemy. It's taking one thing and another thing and putting it together and creating something new. It's the magician in the tarot card, right? It's alchemizing energy. And so this full moon, with it being a release valve of maybe the structure or the overthinking or the everything has to be so perfect, because at the end of the day, we always are where we're supposed to be. And that's why I started with that story, with that dream. Spirit knew that I'd be here, and all I needed to do was have faith. And that is the last concept I want to talk about with Sag energy. Faith is at the core of Sagittarius energy. You are optimistic because you believe that something has your back. That's how you're able to have faith. You can't see it. You can't feel it. Well, sometimes, right? Maybe you can see it sometimes too, right? But it's faith that allows us to keep going, that allows us to get up every morning if we're having a bad time. We know, I'm getting emotional because we know in our heart that something is looking out for us. And as long as we're being true and honoring that truth and realizing that all the things that are happening to us are for us, we're alchemizing all of this external energy. And so when it comes within, we're realizing, okay, spirit, God, the universe, source, the divine is not giving me anything that I cannot handle. How can I take this energy and work with it at this moment in time? So if you aren't in a great place, understand that you have this ability, stupid plane above, you have this ability to take your energy that you're in and use it for your benefit, even if that means, you know, reclusing, or even if that means getting angry and being mad, or you know, even if that means like going really within yourself, like whatever you need to do. We all have that ability to alchemize our external environment to internally guide us and align us with where we're supposed to be and where we're going. So use the Sag energy for that. And also remember that faith is at the core of that. Faith is at the core of all of spirituality, of all of our. Without faith, you don't have spirituality. You don't have religion. You have to believe in something that you cannot prove, you cannot see, you cannot experience literally on this physical realm. And that's why it rules the ninth house. Sagittarius rules the ninth house of spirituality. So I would implore you guys, take a little gander at your chart. What's in your ninth house? What do you have Sagittarius placements in? Even if you don't have a specific Sag placement, like Kisha has a Sag moon, even if you don't have a specific sign in that, you have a house that is ruled by Sagittarius regardless. And like my outer planets are in Sag. So it's definitely more of that. I think my Jupiter's in Gemini. But anyways, there is an influence that Sag energy has on us that's really big, and it's helpful. And so when you think about what energy can help me through shit, what energy can help me be where I want to be, get to where I want to get, Sagittarius energy is definitely that energy. So like I mentioned on Astro Reiki with Gemini season, Sag energy was also one of those energies that I had a hard time understanding and really like being able to grasp. And with doing this and it helps so much to see how important all of these energies are. And Sag is a special one. It is. It's a special energy. So earlier today, I pulled for myself, and it's crazy because I do think it's a collective message. So I kept it out here, and I was using my Archangel tarot deck. So what was really cool is everything about this pull was actually really cool. So first thing was the bottom of the deck. So the environmental energy that we're all in is literally the new beginnings. And this is the world card, or excuse me, the judgment card in traditional tarot. And it says, starting a new life, finding your purpose, a forgiving and compassionate review of the past. And that's exactly what I was speaking about with alchemizing. I can look back 6 months ago when I was depressed and see, wow, that helped me figure out who I was becoming. Without going through that, I wouldn't be in this space that I am now. And then it also feels invigorating to my purpose, right? So I love that. Judgment is like God, source, the universe, literally coming and like, hello, what are you doing? Who are you? Why are you? That's the judgment energy. And it gives us this opportunity to have this new beginning. The full moon is a culmination. So we can start again the moon cycle. And we hit Gemini new moon. Now we're able to set our intentions. So with this, it's like, okay, I see myself fully with this illumination. The Eight of Raphael, which is the Eight of Cups, it's that emotional release, that emotional, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to cling to this anymore. I don't need to remember how sad and depressed I was. That's not helpful, right? It's a releasing of that. It's not serving me. There's something better waiting for you. Do what you know is right for you, a spiritual quest. And then I got literally the Temperance card, which is Sagittarius energy, and the fucking Moon card. So I was like, okay. So boom, we got Archangel Zadkiel for this solutions card in Temperance, which I think is really cool that they call it solutions. Because when Temperance comes out, people hate that card because it means you got to be patient, you got to wait, divine timing. But what that really means is there's a solution to whatever it is you're worried about. I'm depressed. I don't know what I'm doing. What the hell's my life about? There's a solution, Cidnee. You just have to allow yourself the time to come to the realization of it, to see it, to understand it. So it makes a lot of sense. Success that comes from objective compromise, self-control and patience, forgiving and healing energy. So love that. And I think it's cool too to look at Sag energy as healing. You know, fire is healing. Fire is, you know, we have that concept sometimes of destruction, but it's also has this healing component to it. Like, ooh, I'm freezing, I'm gonna put the fire on, and you know, or ooh, like I have a wound and I need to, what is it called when you, it's something with a C, and you like Carter, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. When you like have a wound and you gotta like burn it basically to like keep it from like doing its thing. But anyways, that's part of like the healing. And then, geez, you guys, outside is really like coming for me, and I don't, the sky. And then we have the moon, Archangel Haniel, the opportunity to improve your plans, listen to your intuition for accurate guidance, face your fears, and grow stronger. Love that. And then the Page of Gabriel, which is straight up Sag energy. I mean, literally. Energetic, brave, optimistic, playful. Follow your passion. You are ready for any challenge, opportunities for excitement and adventure. So we're ready, baby. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess I was definitely getting ready today. And obviously I'm a little biased. The Sag moon is like one of my faith moons. um, I think a lot of it has to deal with just the season of spring. See, spring tends to be specifically May, tends to be my month and season of rebirth and renewal. And I've noticed this since I was like 26 years old, starting my spiritual awakening, that I'm not the same from one year to the next, especially when May comes around. It's as if a catalyst happens that this is before I even got into astrology, knew what my moon was and all that sort of stuff. So now in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, oh, I was low key knowing that maybe the Sag moon in Gemini season in spring was my catalyst, because I just knew I was not the same. And obviously, with Aries kicking off the new year from a nature based perspective, and being a Libra, that does have some polarity and an effect and influence of my being. So it's kind of interesting how, even without knowing, I still knew. And so it's this inner knowing that guides you. And when you learn to listen to it, when you learn to hone and refine that skill set of observation, of witnessing, of experiencing, and allowing yourself to be curious. Curiosity is very Sagittarius, very mercurial, like Gemini, and also with Jupiter. Um, it's about curiosity, because how else can you expand if you're not curious about anything, right? And so it's just interesting how at a very young age I was able to still have that influence without a conscious knowing. It was just an inner knowing. And obviously that could be because of my placements, but it's just interesting how when you learn to listen to that inner knowing, you can call it intuition if you like, or instinct. But some of us experience that in different ways. It can be feeling, sensing, envisioning, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and just knowing. And so this is an opportunity to really tap in and refine your connection to your inner knowing. And a few stories as well. This is how I teach, right? I'm a teacher, which that was something that came to me today. It was like, well, let me start with the story because it'll segue into that. But so I started my day with being able to pretty much, you know, flow in and out of sleep from about 7 a.m. to like 11:30. So it was a very, very slow morning, very chill, very relaxed. And I only got up because I had to go get my weekly facial treatment, and then and then came home, did a pulled some angel oracle cards, and then went into meditation, had some epiphanies, some awareness, took a nap, went to my weekly massage, and it just so happened that the therapist, one of the students, because I go to the massage school to support them, and it's also teacher perks, but but she actually was also a Reiki practitioner, one that I'm working with in mentoring. And so during my massage, she also gave me some Reiki and was like, "You've got a lot of energy in the headspace," and was able to calm that down and ground that energy, clear that. And so I left feeling mentally rejuvenated but centered at the same time, so that I can go to my weekly yoga class, which is restorative yoga, all about calming down, chilling out, resting, relaxing. And they also offer Reiki while you're in the restorative yoga position. So leaving from there, I was like, oh crap, I have to hurry, because I guess class went over. I was like, I have to hurry up and get home. And Spirit was like, pump the brakes. Okay, you just had this really beautiful day, and now you're in like fight or flight mode. You're anxious, you're a little stressed, just trying to make sure you get home in time for meditation and for our cosmic chat. And so as I get on the highway, there's traffic. So I'm like, Cidnee, I'm running late. She's like, yep, Sag moon on the Sag moon. This is about right. But not only was I running late, but I didn't have gas. And I was like, oh crap. So I was like, you know what? Instead of freaking out, I'm just gonna set my intention, use my energy tools, create a trail of gold that's gonna guide me to the next exit so I can get off and get gas. And of course, the traffic started moving. I was able to get off and get some gas, whatever. But the story really is about not only just having faith in those smaller moments that may test you, but allow them to help you to transform your perspective of the situation, and being able to use those teachings, those tools, those techniques that you've learned, the knowledge that you gain through your journey, and applying them so that you can really step more into this abundant, powerful nature, which is very Jupiter like, which rules Sagittarius. And then also being tuned into your instincts at the same time, which is what's going to guide you to take that leap of faith, and to give you the subtle cues, the mile markers along your way that can actually help you amplify a greater presence in this world, and being more in tune with yourself. And so it's kind of interesting because, like I said, spring is a time of renewal, a time of rebirth, rejuvenation, restoration, more light coming into your world on various levels, becoming more enlightened to things, maybe spiritually, but also mentally, having a more optimistic outlook on things. Emotionally, maybe you feel the love that's in there, and you feel more emotionally balanced, or just happier, more joyful as more light comes into your life. And the things that really spark your passion and ignite that fuel to make you want to move forward, because fire is a very transformative energy, which is why we probably start off the nature-based new year in Aries season, spring, with fire. Okay. And then to touch base on what Cidnee was saying back in November, December, it was also Sag season, where I was feeling kind of like, over some things and ready for change, but not quite sure how or what or when, and that kind of thing. And I was able to go into myself, meditating, reflecting, and receive some downloads, and found and discovered a way to implement that change. And it came through some of the trainings that I'm currently in, the things that I'm learning. Even as a teacher, I'm continuously learning. And so I took that information, took that leap of faith, because I had to pay for this particular training. And I was like, but it really resonated with me. And so I took it. It just so happened that day, the funds came in to make the deposit and so forth. And it was a 6-week training module, but it's taken me 6 months in a way. Well, I guess sort of about 6 months, because the end of this month is when we have our graduation ceremony. And so 6 months from then until now, I literally, because of that leap of faith, am no longer the same person that I used to be. And it just, normally the old me would want to cry, and I kind of do get emotional, but it's a different type of emotion that comes up. It's not sentimental, it's like a victorious type of feeling, like, yes, I've outgrown something, I've expanded beyond that, I've broken through what it was that was holding me back. And believe me, a Sagittarius moon, if it's one thing that we are going to do, it is bust through something, okay, and break through. And our freedom is Sagittarius energy. Freedom is always going to be a number one priority. Stuck, stagnant, stalemate energy does not serve that Sagittarius energy at all. And when it comes to it being in a moon or a lunar cycle, it's really about who you are at your core, because the moon represents who we are behind closed doors, our emotional self, our subconscious self, which our subconscious has a lot, it rules like 80-90% of our thinking, right? And a lot of it is stored in our primal brain, which also connects all the way down into our central nervous system and out into our peripheral nervous system. And so what happens is, when we apply an energy like Sagittarius, right, to this subconscious aspect, how we've always done things, how we've always seen things and behaved and shown up in our life. Sagittarius helps us to come in and say, no, it's time to learn something new. It's time to do something different. It's time to embrace change. Okay. And just being open-minded to new perspectives, allowing your imagination to take you places, adventures, and travel through the mind, through spirit, that you may have never been before. Sagittarius is a very wild, free, feral, free-spirited type of energy. It's all about the risk taker, the adventure seeker, the visionary, embarking on new journeys and new terrain and discovering new things through learning, through experience, through presence and passion. And so it's very interesting because when you take that moon, that lunar aspect of the subconscious mind, and you bridge that together with Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius also is very, because it's the risk taker, it's very instinctual. It kind of jumps right in the moment. So there is a lot of presence in that, right? And when you're bridging the subconscious, which is your past and the patterns that have made you who you are, and you start to bridge that with this new present conscious, imaginative, curious, and creative energy, what happens is the space that's in between starts to it's like it starts to come together. Okay. And the subconscious mind is the primal brain that's in the back. The conscious mind, the rational mind, is in the front, in the neofrontal cortex. The middle brain is your limbic system, which is about your emotional space. And so to change how you are and to find balance within emotionally, you need to sort of reprogram, well, not sort of, you need to reprogram that primal instinctual self, how you always been, and embrace change consciously, learn new things so that the brain can start to shift and to adapt into a new state of being. Okay, this is a lot of the foundation behind neuroscience and neuroplasticity, how the brain actually changes its functionality and its physical presence and structure within the mind, or the cranium, sorry. But that helps you to really become a new person, because now you have new thoughts, new patterns, new options in how your brain can function. So you no longer have to resort or survive and continue to operate or normalize like survival mode. You can now, through learning and engaging in conversations with others and looking at things from a different perspective or taking in new information, you can start to restructure your mind, your thought, your being, and that eventually leads you to a place of more fulfillment, especially emotionally, that'll help you to grow, to expand, not only in your awareness of self, but the truth of who you are and why you are, which I really like, Cidnee, that you added that, because I know there's a lot of thought-provoking modalities that are like, who am I is the question. I know some people that do that work like, who am I? And that can be very triggering for the ego, right? It's like, well, I'm this and that. And so all the labels and normalized roles in society, gender roles, all those things come up. But what came to me while I was in meditation today was, and I'm not going to go too into detail about that, what happened, but the enlightenment came to me of like who I was. I found clarity in that, but then it was a why I am who I am. And it was just like, oh, it was a deepening of self, of information, and of integration. And so that also helped me to not only change my perspective on how I see myself, but how I can now creatively show up in more truth and more authenticity, in my, not only my spiritual journey, but also just in the world around me, right? And through these teachings, influencing the collective and serving my mission, my spiritual purpose, my spiritual assignment. So there's to me, this energy is kind of one of being, it's kind of like a teamwork makes the dream work, but also being discerning, because Gemini Sagittarius is all about communication and teaching. And so, learning how to work with others within a team type of environment, being discerning about that, having a specific goal in mind can be very powerful right now if you work in a container like this, with Arcana ATL or community like this. And being able to hold visions for one another as well as a collective vision for that space can really be a powerful tool to push your dreams individually and collectively into a bigger space, okay? A bigger reality, create a bigger, better reality. And so it reminds me of this, speaking of travel and adventure, it reminds me of a story that Desmond Tutu talks about, as well as one of my spiritual mentors had mentioned, called Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is basically a philanthropist, went to Africa and really grew close to the children of the tribe there while he was doing his work, and had left upon his return, brought back gifts for the children. He put them all under a tree and told them, okay, here's the thing, y'all. On the count of three, I want y'all to all run towards the tree. Whoever gets there first gets the prize. You know, they get all the gifts and the toys and the candies and so forth. So all the kids are like, oh, you know, and he ends up counting to three. The children start to take off, and as they're running, they start to hold hands. And as they hold hands and they come to the tree, they all start to split up the goods, right? The prize, because there was more than enough, abundance. And it's interesting because the philanthropist was like, oh no, that's not how that works. You know, whoever got here first is the one that gets the prize. And the kids are like, well, how can, like, I don't understand that, because how can I feel good about myself? How can I win? How can I lead? How can I be of purpose, of service, if it's all just for me? It's like a story about sharing and a collective energy. I am because we are. And so it's finding your identity in that collective, but learning through those around you, communicating to those around you, teaching, to each one, teach one, and help letting that be just a practice, I guess, in how you show up in your relationships, how you communicate in your relationships, and being able to also listen so that you can learn, so that you can grow as an individual, but also in a partnership, in a relationship, whether it's, personal or professional, whatever. And then also just in general as a collective. That's some of that Pluto and Aquarius energy there. So yeah, this is an opportunity to let go, let flow, allow your faith to override your fears, be discerning, trust your inner knowing, but also be open to change, open to learning, open to growing and outgrowing, so that you can expand more of your awareness of self, but also your presence in this world. And so I'll close that with two little things real quick. But Cidnee, when you're talking about the plane and all that above, I thought it was so funny because, and you said something about air afterwards, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because air, Gemini season, but the plane is about travel and movement and progression and, I want to say, I guess, like innovation. And well, it is obviously, but it's one of those things where I was like, oh, and I thought about it because I'm like, this is funny, as above so below. So even here in this realm, we're connecting, we're communicating, we're trying to, or we are, sharing information that helps, others to move forward and to see things differently, right? Embark on new horizons, where even if it's traveling through the mind and through spirit and through the meditations that we hold, it's just kind of an interesting, and then just traveling through time, cyclical time and linear time, right? So I was like, that's very timely that the planes are going by while she's talking. Um, and then when you're talking about fire being healing and changing, that's literally like in Ayurveda, why in Chinese medicine, why they talk about, not icing, ice baths, or if you have a wound, most people say to put ice on it, but you actually there's a reason why your body produces heat, right? It's a flooding of like red blood cells, all these things, white blood cells coming to that area to do their thing, to heal that injury, that trauma, and putting ice on it sort of just freezes it, which can help with inflammation, but then does it really ever get healed, right? Does it ever really transform in the way that it can? So yes, walk through the flames, be a fire walker, fire breather, whatever you want to call it, but allow fire to transform you. Anything that no longer serves you on any level, throw it to the flames, allow it to burn. You know, maybe doing some fire rituals would be good right now, candle magic, um, or you know, if you have a little pot or something, want to put some herbs and so forth in there. If you don't have any special herbs, you can always go outside, pick some stuff out from there. You can also, there's certain herbs that you probably have in your seasoning cabinet. Okay, bay leaves, things like that, rosemary, thyme, cinnamon. Those are all herbs that you might have in your cabinet in the kitchen that you can use to sprinkle on whatever it is that you choose to release. And then also writing after that, doing some sort of integration where you also call in this energy of the Sag moon to fill you with that wisdom, the blessings, the bounty, the luck, the fortune, the fame, the higher wisdom to guide you on your path.
Love that. Okay. All those herbs. Speaking of which, keep your eyes open for Arcana Apothecary. Okay. Love that segue. Um, Beautiful. And yes, thank you also for bringing up travel. Travel also is in the 9th house. So, totally aligns there. Well, we are going to get into meditation. We would love for you guys to join us. You can join us on the Patreon to have access to the meditation. We will be back for the new moon in Gemini in a few weeks. And until then, if you're watching or listening, share it, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next time.